Hello, 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 and welcome to today's episode of Her Talk Show. This podcast is dedicated to the growth mindset. You see, I believe that you know something that I don't know, and I also believe that I know something that you don't know. And the only way for each of us to both rise in our knowings is for us to sit in a room and share those things. For those of you that are new to the show and love inspirational content like this, make sure you subscribe, hit that follow button, like, and share. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. Let's jump right in.
We come to you every day with the best speakers, relationship coaches, spiritual mentors, trailblazers, business owners, authors, young hustlers, podcasters, entrepreneurs, fitness trainers, therapists, financial advisors, and more. We ask our guests one question. What do you know that I don't know? Get ready, because today's guest is about to change the way you view your world. This is Her Talk Show, hosted by Sabrina Victoria.
Hello, and thank you for joining us live on this episode of Her Talk Show. We have had over 400 women grace this stage, and we are adding another one to the list today. If you are watching us live, welcome. And if you're watching us on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay wherever you're watching us at so we can send you some love. Either way, if you are watching us, if you could do us a huge favor and share this video wherever you're at, so we can get more eyes and more ears on this awesome content, we would so appreciate it. Her Talk Show is here to inspire and have you thinking outside the box in no time. Today, I'm speaking with an amazing woman named Elona Lopari. Elona is known as the Business Catalyst, helping elite business owners become game changers in their field and achieve $1 million plus breakthroughs in their business. She also helps them align their personal life vision with their professional. Yes, that's what we need. As a former Fortune 500 executive who built and led record-breaking teams in over 20 locations around the U.S., Elona's programs and consulting encompass billion-dollar corporate strategies combined with the speed and agility of the most powerful online strategies of today. Welcome, lady.
Well, thank you so much, Sabrina. I love your energy, and I'm in the right place because I also feel like I want to always grab other people's wisdom. It's like, what is it that you know that I don't know? And this is the way that we all kind of collaborate together and rise together as women, especially. So thanks so much for having me on your show. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, 100%. So listen, I love to just kind of jump right in. I love to start just kind of get right to the root of everything. And let's just ask, what is the value that you're bringing us today? What do you believe that you know that everybody should know?
Yeah, so I think aligning your life and business on purpose is something that I want to focus our conversation around today, especially since personal growth is so closely related to business growth and being an entrepreneur. So understanding how to align both of those, it's something that I've learned along my personal journey as well. So I'll start with a little background for your audience. So we kind of give people a little insight into what I personally went through so people can kind of relate to that. I climbed the corporate ladder 15 years. My recent position was executive leadership. And I ventured out to entrepreneurship 6 years ago because I grew unfulfilled. The company was purchased by another company. I turned into a number and just another person in the company that I've seen that my value is not there anymore. So that's kind of how I ventured out to entrepreneurship. So now that I have done the path of being an entrepreneur, I realize how important it is to really clarify your values and to really design your life on purpose and work on the things that are really meaningful to you, but that you're also passionate about. And I do a lot of spiritual growth. I've done a lot of spiritual growth, I should say, as an entrepreneur, especially. So I realized that everyone is really walking an individual path and we all have our individual unique journeys. So our job is to really connect the dots as human beings as we raise our consciousness, to really connect the right dots in our personal professional life so that we really align with that purpose or phase or stage of life that we are in, so that we can feel fulfilled and make the impact, but also the income that we need to really do more good in the world.
Fantastic. So, when somebody is looking, which I think that this is so important, I think so many times I was just talking to somebody, I think yesterday about this concept of work-life balance and how we really need to kind of, instead of putting them in three different boxes, figure out a way for them to kind of flow together. Like in an ebb and flow type atmosphere. What are your thoughts on that as far as them being in separate locations, work life balance, like we're supposed to be juggling them, versus an ebb and flow? Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I love that question because I used to also believe there was such a thing as balance, as somehow I was supposed to find the happy medium between between my work and my other life priorities, like myself, my partner, time for family, kids, health, all these other things that we need as humans. But I've come to believe through experience and also through a lot of learning, and I study neuroscience a lot. I love the field. I think there's no such thing as balance. It's just all about harmony. And it's very normal at a certain phase and stage of life, you might be prioritizing a certain area of your life. And I only think that we can focus on 2 to 3 priorities at a time. Now, having said that, does not mean that obviously we're going to let other things slide. But as long as we intentionally set our goals around the priorities that we have for that season and phase and stage of life, then that is good enough to kind of move forward and make progress towards. And I do think that at a certain point of time of our phase and stage, we will focus on different priorities. And I think that's normal, because I used to feel so guilty as I was growing my business, or even when I was working and I was a working mom. My kids were smaller. It's always about how we always have the guilt. Well, did I miss something at home? I'm over here doing other things, right? So even as an entrepreneur, it takes a lot of energy to grow the business. It takes a lot of energy to grow yourself through the phases and stages of that. So I really learned to just let myself off the hook and just kind of go with the flow and be messy with certain days and take imperfect action, and then recoup my batteries or recharge my batteries with self-care and kind of just start all over again. So yeah, I honestly don't think there is such a thing as balance. It's just harmony. And it's very normal that at certain stages and phases, something takes priority and it takes your focus. And because that's really where you want to focus the most on.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. As far as somebody taking the steps necessary to start to, because this is heavy. I mean, I think that this is where the stress, the anxiety, the deep breathing that I'm doing right now, where that all kind of stems from is just, where do you start? Like, what's the first step into creating the structure that is needed when you are a high performing entrepreneur to make sure that you are touching all of the areas of your life? In your opinion, what are a couple of steps that someone should be doing when they're first looking into creating a more of a flow?
Yeah, I would say it starts with a clarity, which is always the first step, right? Take some time for yourself, sit in quiet, right? Whatever you have to do, get out of the doing and be more in the being, which was a journey for me because I came from a lot of masculine energy tactics that really helped me be successful in a corporate job, in a big corporate company, right? So I would say that would be the first step. Take your time, reflect, sit down with yourself, figure out, visualize where you want to see yourself in the next, 2, 3, 4, or 5 years, right? People always talk about this exercise, but I think it's once you allow yourself to sit quietly with that, things will just come up, right? And that, to me now, knowing what I know now that I didn't know a couple of years ago, being so in theme with the show, is that it's your inner intuition and purpose speaking to you. So the more we stay quiet and the more we tap into that and listen to that, that calling or whatever we visualize is not there by chance. It's part of our purpose. So that's where we should start, right? So once we have a little bit of an indication of where we want to see ourselves, maybe even for the next 6 months, right? Even don't even go as far as that long, right? 3, 4, 5 years, because it might seem too far for most people. But even in the next month, like what would you focus on in the next month that is a priority for you? That is like that next right step for you to get towards, to make a building, to have a stepping stone towards that vision that you kind of received in that phase and space. So I would say that is one of very, very important parts. And then the other one is what's important to you. What are your values? A lot of times this is a hard exercise to do by yourself because you might have a lot of, things that were kind of, transferred over from your family or culture or whatever, surrounds us as human beings. But kind of clarifying what your values are. And then taking the next right step towards that. So I would say that that's kind of where to start building some momentum and to just get out of, if you're feeling stuck, if you know there's something more that you could do. I ignored my little intuitive voice or purpose leading voice for so many years because I didn't even know how to even listen to it. And I didn't even know that was me or my higher intuition speaking life into what I needed to do. So going backwards, I would say that that's where we need to start because we honestly have all our wisdom inside of us. So it's just a matter of sitting quietly enough to listen to that voice because it's very quiet. It whispers, and removing distractions. Anything that comes from the outside is just junking us up. But if we take time to go within, we will eventually start to listen to it more attentively. At the beginning, it might be there's a lot of insecurity, like, well, I don't know if that's my voice or that's me speaking, or, there's a lot of that, but just kind of listen to it, trust it, and take the next best right step towards that thing that you really feel called to go after.
Yeah. I want to dive a little bit into this word, intuition, because I'm hearing this more and more and more. Do men and women have intuition, or is that something that we're hearing in the female realm?
I think we all have intuition as human beings. We just were never taught how to access it and how to start utilizing it, and so that it shows up into our day-to-day living and the decision making that we go through. I absolutely think everyone has it, just like creativity. Because in my past I wasn't really tapping into my creativity, I really thought I wasn't a creative person. I was more like a logical, like, okay, structure, like step by step kind of person. But no, I think once I learned how to tap into the creativity, we have limitless creativity as human beings. And I don't think it's a gender thing. We all have it because we're all human. So to answer your question, I think we both have both. We have both things, as men or women. We just have to learn how to use it. It's like a skill. The more you practice it, the more it starts to show up for you, and you know how to go into it when you need it to make the next right decision for you.
Yeah. So a lot of times intuition gets put in the same bucket as like a woo-woo method. How does somebody tap into their intuition? Somebody's just sitting here, they're listening live right now. We have a ton of people listening live. Some people are sitting here, they're like, intuition, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, it's true, because it wasn't articulated until recently, and now even science is backing it up, right? And I can completely understand, because I would be that person again with this stuff would be so woo-woo, and I'd be like, well, I don't know if it's not. I'm a practical person. I'm a pragmatist, right? So to me, it's like, okay, it doesn't make sense. I don't believe it. But I mean, just based on what I learned on how to tap and access it, it's really about doing some of the inner work, removing some of the inner limitations, some of the trauma that we've had as, growing up, some of the old stories. So it's a little bit of a cleaning up, so to speak, internally that we have to do before we kind of start to unravel who we really are, what is our core values that comes from us. And every day as we evolve as humans, we're just removing the old junk, I call it, like removing the old, like, things that were put on us by people, by, experiences, by trauma, all of that. So the more you start removing that, the more you start to be so clear around, wait, now it's like you opening up your eyes like a child to the world and like, oh, I can see clearly now. Like I can now see what is the next right thing that I need to work on. So I don't think that's why most people don't believe it, because it's a process to get to sharpen it, I should say, as a skill. But I think that's the most important work that we can do as humans, because not only will it help you sharpen that really important tool, but also it will help you live your purpose, because then you take risks, you come out of your comfort zone, you go do that next hard thing, you go do that next fearful thing, right? So it really works in so many other ways. But from my perspective, that's what I think, that's how we can tap into our intuition slowly but surely. That's why at the beginning it might be very, very, a very silent voice. But the more we unravel all this stuff, the more the voice starts to get louder, and you can then hear it very, very clearly.
Awesome. When I was listening to you kind of explain these couple of steps, one of the things that I think I picked up, which I think a lot of times we misunderstand, is there's a constant shifting, pivoting, and reanalyzing. Is that true? Did I understand that correctly?
You mean as far as the process of undoing a lot of inner work? Is that what you're referring to? Give me a insight on that. What do you mean?
Yeah, like when you were describing it, it's something that we're supposed to be constantly tweaking. It's not like you're going to sit down, you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to do what Elona said, and Elona, I'm sorry, and say, okay, I'm going to get clear. And then I'm going to check in with my intuition. And then you do those steps once, and then you're just good for like the rest of your life. It seems like this is something that you have to continuously check in with and pivot.
Gotcha. Yeah, absolutely. It's a process of continuous improvement. Just like anything is in life. We're all, as human beings, we're all a work in progress, right? We're always getting new levels of awareness, getting more experience from our lives, learning more things daily, right? Accessing more information, surrounding ourselves with more people, opening up our minds in so many different ways and levels. So of course, the way that you thought maybe a month ago is not going to be the same way that you think maybe a month after, or 2 or 3, because you're challenging your beliefs along the journey, right? So it goes down even deeper than that. Like, what are some of your beliefs that you maybe thought were true, before you had all this awareness, but now that you kind of have learned more stuff and do all the things that I mentioned, now you have a different perspective on things. And I think that's a very healthy way to grow and positively evolve as humans. Because again, with the information and the fear and the limitations I had a year ago, I made those decisions because I didn't have all this information now. So even people that say like, oh, I should have did better, they beat themselves up for all of it. To me, that never made sense logically also, because I'm like, with that information I had then, and with the person I was, that version of a person I was a year ago, that was the next thing that I thought was the right thing for me.
Yeah.
So what's the point of blaming? All of that is all learning. As long as we take all of that and now just use that to make a better decision now with the version of the person that I am now, then I'm in the right track, because life is a journey, right? So just keep moving forward. Every day is a continuous, improvement. I would say the same with entrepreneurship, because I teach business growth strategies, right? From branding, marketing, sales, systems, and team, so businesses can grow to whatever level they would like to, sales-wise and impact-wise. And it's the same process with business. It's not one you do it once and you're like, okay, I figured out all my marketing, I figured out my sales, right? Because you're going to grow, you're going to evolve, the business is going to evolve, the audience you serve is going to evolve, your message is going to evolve. It's all in evolvement. So everything that's why I love entrepreneurship and personal development, because it's like one thing. And most people don't think that it has a relation, but I say it goes hand in hand. That's why very early on, I made a very important core value assessment in myself. And I said, I want to personally grow. So that's why I chose entrepreneurship as that channel. that allows you to always grow and just tweak the process, and you just slowly improving it over time. And everything is just that.
Beautiful. You had mentioned limiting distractions. What are some examples of some distractions that we should be limiting?
I would define a distraction as anything that comes towards you that was not intentionally said by you. So let's say that you were planning to do a couple of things on your to-do list or task list or whatever you like want to call it, or intention list or purpose list, right, for the day. But then somehow you scroll on social media, but that's not part of your focused activity for that moment, right? But you just kind of, I don't know, looking for an escape. You're feeling bad about something and you just go and scrolling down social media, and you find yourself an hour after you're still like scrolling down and commenting or engaging with your network there, which is great as well, but was not part of the intention that you set for the day. So for me, that's what distraction is.
Okay.
Anything that is outside that is coming towards you, but you didn't really plan that it was going to come towards you, and then you got carried away with it, and it just like took you, and now you went on a whole other loop. And of course, that is going to deviate you from the life that you want to create and from your goals. So it could be many things. You open up the TV and you're just like, okay, I'm just going to sit here for 5 minutes just to kind of let my brain rest a little bit. Because as you're working on things, your brain gets tired. Your brain's like a muscle. It's like it burns a lot of calories, right? So you open up the TV and maybe you set it as an intention for the 10 minutes. Just going to sit here and kind of just relax or just get my mind off of what I'm doing. But then you kind of get carried away. It gets carried away and you kind of watching TV for an hour or two or whatever. And then you procrastinate all the other stuff that you wanted to do. Yeah. And of course you will feel bad about that, because now, subconsciously, that your work did not get done. And then it starts to pile up, and then you have another problem, right? You get into overwhelm. You start beating yourself up and all of that. So that's what I would say. If you made a conscious choice that watching TV for 2 hours is what I want to do, I say that's not a distraction. You were a conscious individual that made that choice. And that's part of the thing that you wanted to do. So that's how I would define distraction.
Yeah, I think that that's so true. And I think that's something that all of us do, especially with social media. I know even myself, I'll go on meaning to post something for the day, and I'll get distracted right away with the first thing that pops up. And then, of course, you want to check your notifications, make sure there's nothing too crazy and you need to dive in, or some comments or something. And then there's times I get so lost, and then I click away. I'm like, oh, I got to get back to work. And then I click away and I'm like, oh my gosh, the whole reason why I went on there was because I was trying to post something.
Checking your comments. Yeah. And that's exactly what happens to all of us, right? When anything, but I think the fact that you were aware and you're like, wait a minute, let's redirect back that I was there to post, and you are redirecting yourself back, it gets easier because you're mindful. You're not mindless. That's the whole problem with being mindless, that anything could come to you. You're not even focusing. You're not paying attention. But as long as, because we'll make mistakes. I mean, I do it as well, right? I'll go in and I'll just kind of get lost, but I will redirect. I'm like, okay, this time block that I allotted for posting, this is not the time block I allowed it to answer messages. This is not the time block. I have another time block. So I would say go back to your calendar and structure or lay it out when is your time to do all the other things that you feel that are important. Those are still important, are important tasks, like to answer, to engage with people, right? That's an important task, but maybe not at that time that you went in for a different intention.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. When somebody's sitting down and they are, reanalyzing their business and where it is going, financially, it was one of the biggest things that I love to talk about, just in general, because especially within the female world, we're on our show, Her Talk Show, we're talking to females predominantly, and money seems to be predominantly an issue that females have a hard time talking about, dealing with, asking for. Should we be working on mindset? Should we be working on closing? Where should our time be spent when women are looking to really elevate to the next level, whether they're going from 10,000s to 100,000s or 100,000s into, millions? Where should we be concentrating when it comes to these blocks that we sometimes get into?
Yeah, I have a couple of steps for that. So I think the first thing is, again, to believe in the work you do. That's number one. I think you have to do some mindset work if that's an issue, in you believing that the work you do is important and it makes an impact. You always have to sell yourself first on anything we do in life, right? So unless you are sold, then forget about transferring that energy to anyone else. So I would say that's number one, believing in the work you do. The second thing that I've learned that really has helped me make the impact, show up wherever I have to show up, do all the things that I need to do strategy-wise for my business and be very focused, is service. So come out of yourself. Once you believe, believe very hard about the work you do, or even in yourself, right? The next thing is to really be in service. So everything you do, all your actions that you do, think about how are you actually helping someone else through a specific problem or challenge, which is probably something that you have, built around your business. So I would say be in service is the second thing. And then the third thing, I would say articulate the value and the results you provide for other people. It's nothing to do with your value. That's your inner work. But you have to articulate in the marketplace the problem you solve and the results you're able to create. And once you have that clarity and that articulation with how to position yourselves and also the results you're able to create, and you nurture relationships, then the conversation with people that you are potentially want to turn them into your clients becomes such a natural pretty much figuring out where the problem is and how is it that you can serve them and help them and support them further. But all those other prior steps have to be in place, because I find women don't have the clarity and the confidence first around what is it that they're offering and how important that is for someone, and it could completely transform their lives. So when you create your offer, so when you want to get a client to get them into your programs or whatever offers you have, I think it's important to understand how to articulate and vision cast for the person in front of you of how whatever they're buying into is an investment in their lives, and how is it connecting to their vision as well. So you need to vision cast for people, be able to articulate the way that your solution fixes their problem, and what is some of the results that people can expect from that. So I think if you just focus on those main important areas, you'll be very clear, and you will be able to just go through and fill your business with clients and then strategize. So that would be the fourth thing. You'll need strategies. You don't want to just be doing a million things with no purpose. You gotta be very clear around your strategy. Who is your client? What is your offer? Who are you going after? How are you nurturing relationships with them? And do all the pieces that I teach between your branding, your marketing, your sales. Unless you've done branding and marketing, which is about positioning and offering value, you're not entitled to ask for the sale yet, right? Depending on who obviously is in front of you. If it's someone that just came to your world, if you haven't done the branding and the marketing in today's economy with the age of social media, we're in a trust economy. If you haven't built trust and you haven't positioned yourself and added value to their lives beforehand, then it's too soon for you to ask for the sale. That's why we have a lot of negative connotation around sales, because people don't understand that it's a process to get to that, right? Everything is a process. Just like human development, there's a process, there's steps. Is how you actually get to the result, which is why I love strategy. So I would say that's the last thing.
Yeah. When you say build trust, what does that mean to you? How does somebody build trust?
Building trust for me means be genuine, be authentic, and when you meet people, be there and be in service. See how is it that you can add value to them first. And then do it a couple of times, because to build trust, you can't just do it once. Just like a personal relationship, you can't see your friend once a year and expect to know things about their lives or what is happening with you, so you can have an emotional connection with them, right? If they're a good friend, you probably touch point with them a couple of times, right? You speak on the phone, you send them a message, right? You maybe send them a video, right? Or you refer them to someone if they have a problem, or you're kind of just are there if they do have a problem and you're giving them your suggestions. So I would say the same way we build any relationship, the same way trust is built anywhere, a couple of times. We gotta connect a couple of times to build trust. And there is, of course, in marketing, numbers of how to do all of that. But I would say in a nutshell, just to answer your question at a general level, I would say a couple of touch points, consistency, and loyalty. When people see someone all the time, they trust that you're going to show up. And if you show up for all the small things, you will be trusted for the bigger things. In this case is, your offer for people that are entrepreneurs.
Yeah. This made me think while you were speaking of people who drop into direct messages. So on LinkedIn, I get all the time direct messages of a sales verbiage of some sort and immediately want to jump on the phone and get in a calendar link. And me being me, I'm always curious about how people sell. I'm always curious about how people close. So I jump onto a lot of these calls just out of curiosity and to constantly be tweaking my own flow of what I've created for my business. How should somebody, speaking to these people who are doing this, because sometimes you never hear from them again.
Yeah.
So they expect to close you, right? They direct message you 17 times. You finally jump on a call with them. They pitch. I say no. And then I never hear from them ever again.
Big problem. So that means that person has a short-sighted mindset. It's how I see it. They're in there for the sale, right? They're in there. I can catch a fish. I can prospect someone. I can bring in a new client. That is someone that doesn't have a vision. And first of all, doesn't even believe in what they're doing. Because if you care enough, if you believe in what you do, and you care enough about, the way that your service impacts other people, then you understand that you're in people's lives for life. Really, that's my mindset about my business. I'm in your life for life, because even if now I don't see you as a number, if you tell me no, it just means not now. It's not the right place. Or maybe I haven't built trust with you enough, right? So I have to do other things. I need to stay in your life, right? For life until right, you see that I care. And at one point or another, if I have the right offer or opportunity, you will say yes. And I probably will say yes to you as well, right? So it's about the mutual relationship and you surrounding the person with valuable information that you could still stay top of mind in their world, because we talked about distraction. You're not the only person on social media, and you're not the only person that is going to be in our lives, right? So I would say be in it for the long term and have a strategy around who's ready now, who am I following up with. They're lacking follow-up. That's gold, right? Follow-up is gold in a follow-up. And I see a lot of lack in that. And that's what I teach with, in my programs and with my clients. There's gold in the follow-up, because not everyone, depending on how they got to know you on LinkedIn, let's say maybe they just came across your profile. Do you really think that just offering your program on a message, people are going to say yes and sign up for it right away? No, you haven't done all the other steps, right? So depending on people come in your world, you also have to consider how, what is your relationship with them, right? What is that trust building factor with them? If they're too new, they have to walk through a trust building process and a flow, just like you said. So they have to walk through a flow, but you have to follow up. They're missing and they're lacking follow up, because follow up is where you really show that you care, you are committed, and you really are there to make an impact in their lives. And don't only think of the person in front of you. If you lead by integrity and if you love what you do, you're also building trust with all the people that Sabrina knows, right? You're also building trust with all the people Elona knows. But obviously you haven't earned the right, if you just drop me when I say no, to have access to my amazing network, because you haven't even served me yet. So how is it that we can build that relationship for me to even refer other people to you or send other people to you? Because we all know that we buy from people, right? People buy from people. That's it. However it is, that is just how it works. So I would say, depending on how they come to you, trust building is very important. The flow of touch-ups to build trust is very important. And then you want to obviously then have a strategy of how you are leading the conversation. I would say, unless you offered value 3 times, you haven't earned the right to ask people on a call for, I don't know, a free consultation or a free discovery call or a free strategy call or whatever you are offering in the business, to kind of see where they are and how is it that you can further support them. That's really what that is to me, the discovery call. But I would say there's a few touch points in play. The marketing is not a short-term game. This is a for life game, right? Branding is something you do for life. But most people don't have that resilience. They don't even know how to go about all these things. So they just kind of look at it as, okay, when can I get a new client today? And how can I do it through cold selling? Now, are they successful with that? Probably 1 or 2%, because you always will find people that are looking for that solution, and you're lucky, right? You can probably just send one message. But in my experience and all my experience of building a business and helping also corporations, that is like 1 or 2% of your marketing efforts, where you will find someone that's ready now and they're looking for you, and you just show up at the right time in the right place.
Yeah.
And they buy.
Yeah.
And that's how they only use that small percent. And that's how they dictate all the rest of the marketing. And like, oh, wait, if I found Sabrina, then maybe I'll find more like Sabrina. Yeah. So they'll go do the same marketing tactics, hoping that it will work. And they'll just do it with more people, and something will stick, right? If you send a million messages, maybe they'll find 1 person or 2 or 3 that is ready at the right time in the right moment for what they have to offer.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. And I think that that's so true. And I love this concept of, or what you said, the main thing that people are lacking is the follow-up. And I think that that's so true. And in my business, I do my best to show up in all the areas. So I'm showing up in the email, I'm showing up on social media, I'm doing shout outs, I'm doing phone calls, I'm inviting people back. So I'm constantly, re-pulling people back towards the community in order to do the trust.
And that's the best way to do it, right? You want to surround people in a good way with you, but by adding value, not just because you don't want to bother people, right? I mean, everybody hates that. That's actually a big mindset for a lot of entrepreneurs. Well, I don't want to bother them. I don't want to, it's not a bother if the next time you go about it, it's with another offer that's valuable to them. And I'm not saying it's going to be your offer for them to turn into clients. Find something you can add value. Can I have you on my show? Can I connect you with someone? Can I bring you to my community? Can I give you a free guide? Can I give you a free book? Whatever, build valuable resources that you can utilize to build trust. Yeah. And then it's like you become so resourceful. People come to you. It's like, oh my God, that's amazing, right? Because that is the fastest way to build trust, and do it in a genuine way, right? Don't do it like a robotic way. Like, okay, now I'm doing that. This got to come from the heart. This got to be very natural. Otherwise, you're going to hate your business because you're going to become like a robot. And I hate that. And I don't ever teach anything like that in sales and marketing. It's all heart-led. Because the more you do it, you could see the flow. It becomes so natural for you. It just the conversation of the sales conversation that everyone fears I never sell a day in my life because I know how to do all the rest of the processes. So when people see me, it's just about how can I support you? What is it that you're looking for? Here's the solution I have.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right. And all the objections fall and all of that. I don't even believe in objections as much, right? Because if you do the rest of the process right, people already trust you and they're not going to focus on the money. They want a solution for their problem. So as long as you are good with understanding how your solution is the thing that they're looking for and you know how to explain and articulate it, then people looking for the solution, they don't buy you and me at the end of the day. They buy the solution, but of course they buy it from people. So that's
so interesting. I love that. Objections don't really exist. Yeah, that totally makes sense because if you're showing up and giving value, yeah, people will just want to work with you. So unless they don't need it, I mean, that's totally different, but
unless their commitment level is not there, and I promise you there's nothing you can do to convince. You should never be in the business convincing anybody.
Yeah.
Nothing. You should be in the business of inspiring and educating. And that's the best business I love to be part of.
Yeah.
But if you have built trust with people, it's not about the money. You don't never want to lead with the cheapest price. That's another thing with branding. You don't want to build your brand and be the cheapest gal in town because there's so many other issues with that. But people will not care about the investment if they trust you and they know that you can give them the result. That's all they care about. That's it. Two things done.
Yes.
If you've done that first part, the second part is you showing up and saying, I have the result that you want. Here's how we're going to do it. Here's, the way that we're going to lay out the process to get you the result. And where do you sign up? And that's how it always happens. All day, every day.
Yes. That's fantastic. I love that. Not in the business of convincing anyone. We're in the business of inspiring and educating. I think that's phenomenal. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. This has been great. I so appreciate all the goodness that you shared today. Thank you for those of you that are watching live. We appreciate it. Obviously, people are resonating with what you're saying. They're appreciating all the words. They're here. They're hanging out. Tell us who exactly should be reaching out to you. Who do you help? What do you do specifically? And where can people find you?
Yeah, so I help service-based entrepreneurs, coaches, healers, therapists. If you have a service, I help you with branding, marketing, sales, systems, and team as you grow. And I have a free masterclass actually when I walk through my framework so people can get a little more information around how these things connect for them. Even if I never get on a call or I can never speak to them in person, they will walk away with so much value, because one of the things that I've done in my business is connect all of this for people and make it very simple and lay down in a process so people understand how to do all of it, and they all should work in harmony, just like we talked about life balance. I mean, it's all about harmony, how all these things work together to really give you the impact of the income you're looking for. So the free masterclass is going to be right on my website, elonaloparicoaching.com. It's only 60 minutes, and I highly advise that people take it, because even if nothing else, they'll have all the pieces that they probably are missing just by getting information on all these areas which I realized it's the foundation of any business. Any business is the heart and sales. The marketing and sales is the heart of any business. I don't care how great you are. I don't care how passionate you are. I don't care how much you believe in what you do. You have to learn to do your marketing and sales, and then eventually grow with a team that can be the machine of your marketing and sales, because that's like the machine that fuels the energy forward and makes the impact and the income that you are looking for. So that's what will be in that masterclass on the website.
Fantastic. Where do you hang out the most on social media? Where can people follow you?
I'm very present on social media. They can join my Facebook group. I'm big on communities called The Life School, Elona Lopari, with my name. So they can join me there, or they can just connect with me as Elona Lopari.
Awesome. And why do you do what you do?
Oh, that's an amazing question, because I want to help entrepreneurs make more impact with the good work that they do in helping other people. So that is why I do what I do, because the work I do I get to multiply the impact between all the entrepreneurs that are doing really amazing things in the world. And I really do believe purpose-driven entrepreneurs will change the world because they have the right heart in the right place. They have the vision, and they are serving people in whatever channel and avenue they choose to.
Beautiful. Any closing thoughts as we wrap up?
Just to stay in line with the show. I mean, what is it that you know that I don't know? Be a lifelong learner. That's actually the reason behind my company, which is called the Life School. Be a lifelong learner. Stay open. Stay curious. Always learn something new and apply it. I think that's the other key part. Apply it. Practice it, because in life, the biggest thing that no one will ever take away from us is the experience and the skills that we build over time. And that's how we build ourselves and we transform ourselves so that we can add more value in the marketplace, in our home, in our personal lives, everywhere that we are. Because at the end of the day, whoever adds more value is the person that gets all the opportunities. So, but you have to become that person. So I would say be a lifelong learner.
Fantastic. And I agree with that. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you hanging out with us. For those of you watching live, for those of you watching on the replay, if you resonated with Elona and all of the goodness that she shared today, make sure you check her out on social media. Her website is a clickable link in the description below, wherever you're watching this at. It's also right below her face area if you want a screenshot. We love to connect people here in order to make sure that we all continue to rise. Thank you so much for joining us here on Her Talk Show. This community is expanding every single day and is filled with females who are striving to do better than they did yesterday. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you hit that follow button, like and share. If you have an amazing story, idea, or theory to share and you'd like to possibly get onto the show, check us out at hernation.life. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria, and I'm so grateful to be here sharing a platform that allows people to share their truth and